You are tuning into the Striven You Show, brought to you by strivenlife.com. I am your host, Nick Rizzo, and I have something to confess, and that is that I am a success addict. Now, what does that mean? Well, at a certain point in my life, I gave up on letting the world dictate my life and started to commit to myself, commit to success, from self-improvement to relationships to health, wellness, business, and beyond. See, growth and improvement and success are all at your fingertips, and it's time to take back control, to live life where you're driven to consistently strive for success in all aspects of life, every day, to build a better you, a better life, a striven life. And on this show, I will take you on that journey with me, where success is not only the goal, but my duty and obligation. All right, guys, welcome to episode number 1. Finding meaning, passion, and purpose, the development of Striven Life. So what I'm going to be talking about over this show is essentially how it came to be that I made this brand that I feel as if is my specific meaning. It gives me meaning, it is my passion, and it gives me purpose. I feel fulfilled every day working on this job, more so than I have anywhere else. And I'm going to take you on the process, the journey, the failures, the support, the stories as to how it came to be, and kind of put it in perspective for you guys. You know, it's important to know that you guys can also find your purpose, your meaning, and your passions, and apply them and make them into something, to make them a job or a hobby or a side hustle, whatever it may be. All right. Well, first thing is, if you don't know anything about Striven Life yet, Striven Life is a brand based upon this one slogan, and that is to be driven to consistently strive for success in all aspects of life every day to build a better you, right? And that's what this is all about. It's about trying to help other people and continuously improving myself on this journey, to help people realize that there is more to life that we're missing out on, and that you guys can be accessing or trying to start planning your goals to take advantage of, or to improve in certain ways. And these small things, these small actions that you could be taking every day can be absolutely paramount to having a day-to-day life that you're happier, more engaged, your relationships are improving, your health improves, your mind and body and soul are all improving if you're taking the actions to get there. And that's what the basis of Striven Life is. But before Striven Life, there was a Mr. Rizzo, right? So I was a teacher for 4 years. I taught at Revere High School, which is my city that I came from. And I didn't go to college for teaching. You know, I went to college and I got a degree in biology, and I was applying for PhDs in pharmacology. And I got to the interview stages at Cornell and Tufts. And as you know, or as you can probably tell, I didn't get accepted. I did get to the bottom, like the top 15 to 20 people, which I took as a compliment. Because when I met the other people there, some of them already had master's degrees. Some of them had graduated from the top schools in the nation. And I was from a school that, even though it was next to MIT and Harvard and all of them, the people at those meetings, those interviews that were at those schools had never heard of my school, which is a common thing, I guess. So I decided that, you know, I had been a tutor in college, and I loved doing it. I loved being able to take something that was giving someone so much stress and frustration and self-doubt, and being able to show them that they can do it, and doing it in a way that helped them learn the material, obviously, but also empower them to keep them moving forward. Like, wait, no, I can do this if I stick to it, if I ask the right questions, if I look for the right information, if I get the right support, right? And so I kind of reflected on that stuff once I got rejected for our PhD programs. And I said, you know what? My brother's a teacher. My uncle is a teacher. My cousin is a teacher. I love teaching. And there was one teacher in my life who I am grateful for to this day. Give a shout out to Mr. Bonanno. He was the first and only teacher who ever told me and then actively made me become more. You know, I had teachers who told me I would never make it anywhere in life, and they'd be surprised they make it to a 2-year community college. I had teachers who told me I was raised by wolves. And Mr. Bonanno took me out, grabbed me in the hall one day, and I didn't really know who he was yet. He had just heard about me. and he'd seen the kind of things that I was doing in classes and stuff like that. And he took me aside and he pretty much told me that, I've heard about you. You're taking my AP psychology class next semester, even though I didn't have the prerequisites. And he goes, you're going to pass that AP exam, and you're going to be joining the Power of No leadership position, which was a club against drug abuse and relationship abuse, drug and alcohol abuse and relationship abuse. And he put me into a leadership position. And he was the first person in the education system ever who ever made me feel like I was capable of doing more. And when I decided to become a teacher, that's exactly what I wanted to be. And that was where my passion was when it came to teaching, being able to help kids realize that they are more. They're not dumb as they like to identify themselves. You know, it's not a fixed thing. This is a process. This is a journey. You got to be able to struggle through these things to get to that other side. And you know, and I loved teaching mainly because of my kids, as well as the colleagues that I became really, really close friends with and are still are to this day. And at the same time of me becoming a teacher and dealing with a whole bunch of BS, which I won't get into because I'll start angry ranting for like 3 hours about how our public education system is a joke. Sorry, Mom. She's on the school committee in our city, so she's probably mad at me now. At the same time, me trying to do this, I was trying to grow my side business. And at this time, it was known as Nimbus Nutrition. You see, so I started working for this company back in 2012. And initially, my job was as a representative on online forums. After about 6 months of that, I ended up becoming the only person who was really doing any research and development for products. So I was making and developing these products, and I loved it. I loved the science. I loved being able to create something that actually helped someone overcome an issue or a problem or help them be better in order to accomplish other goals. And that's what I loved about it. When I got those messages from customers, man, I mean, there were sometimes I'd get an email or something, and they would tell me about how that my product helped them. You know, maybe they haven't, like one person in particular stands in my mind, they hadn't been able to get more than 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for well over 6, 7, 8 months. Like, this has been a chronic issue. And the first night they took my sleep product, Abyss Unparalleled, they slept for 9 hours and they woke up feeling amazing. And then they continued to take it, and that same thing kept happening. Their sleep was finally coming. They were able to fall asleep, stay asleep, and be able to be, you know, a human being the next day, because Lord knows that when you don't get sleep, you're pretty much a zombie the next day. So at the same time, I'm trying to grow this business. And as I've talked on other shows, like the Striven Entrepreneur one, and I will talk more about these things later on, things weren't going well. All right, I'll leave it at that for right now. But as I'm doing all this, it's now about the 3rd or 4th year of teaching, and my joy from my business and my joy from teaching just started depleting out of me, and there was not much left, right? You know, in teaching, there's so much more than just coming into the class and giving information. In fact, that is not being a teacher. And, you know, from all the stuff that was happening outside of my class, you know, administration, political stuff, people talking, all that kind of stuff, it started to make me hate my job. Waking up every day and going to a place to work that I actually hated being at, it just drains the living hell out of you, like all of your life, all of your joy. This sounds really dreadful. I'm sorry. But it just, you know, that's what was happening. And at the same time as my business, I was trying to grow this business, but I didn't enjoy it. And the reason was because I liked making the products. I liked helping people. I didn't like the industry that we were in. I didn't like the name of our brand. It didn't mean anything to me. I didn't like how we had to name our products a certain way to meet a certain market. I didn't like making the content that had to go with that company. And having to go to a place every day where you work and hate being there, and then come home and then try to work on your side hustle of your business that you don't like working on and you're not enjoying the process of. Shit, man. solid 5, 6 months of that, and I was done. I became a much more negative person. I was moody all the time. I apologized to my wife, in all honesty. But yeah, it was a bad place. But what kept me going as a teacher was these students. Like, fuck, man. Like, this is, I chose to teach in the city I grew up in because I'm passionate about these kids. I know what they're going through. I know what they deal with when they leave school. I know what is, like, every sort of drug and alcohol and everything else is available to them when they leave, because that's just where we come from, and I had a lot of pride in my city, and I have a lot of passion for the kids growing up there. So, every day I'd wake up and, I would remind myself that this is the reason why I'm here. This is what's keeping me going, is that there are kids that need help. I was the teacher that so many kids would come to for personal help, academic help, emotional help, career help. And there were kids that were just so close to making a breakthrough, or there were kids that really were like relying on me emotionally because I was the only person they could talk to. Kids that needed just a little bit more pushing so that I could get them to succeed where they were going. And and kids that needed advocating for, the ones that all the teachers labeled as troublemakers, or, they go into the teacher's room and be like, oh, that kid's fucking useless. Like, first of all, you're a teacher. Your job is to come here, take those kids, inspire them, motivate them, and drive them to be who they really are. There's a reason why they're like that. And those kids needed advocating for, and I wanted to be that for them. And that's what kept me going as a teacher. But that can only really go for so long when all this is happening, before you kind of have a shutdown. But thankfully, before I had any sort of mental breakdown or something, my wife turned it all around for me. And I know that sounds corny, but it's the truth. So what happened one night was we had been sitting down. We just finished eating dinner, watching a little bit of TV. And I was like, all right, I need to go do some work. Okay. All right, I'm going to go. And, and I think she just kind of looked at me and saw the amount of, almost like I had been defeated when I was just going over to work and sit down to do work for Nimbus. And as if that, every ounce of enjoyment had been sucked out of me. So she stopped me. And she had told me, he goes, I want you to take the next 30 minutes, play a video game, watch TV, lay down, do whatever you want, do something you enjoy doing. Just relax. But when I come back, we're going to be doing something, and you got to trust me and go with it. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I'm not going to say no to that. So she goes out, she comes back, and she comes in with these big, the big poster papers you can stick on things. So we stick about 2 on that side of our wardrobe and then 2 on that side of our wardrobe. She gives us a task. She goes, both of us are going to go to our computer. We're going to look up the 3 sites that we enjoy going to the most and identify the characteristics in these sites that keep us coming back. What about them do we enjoy? Why do we come back? What are they offering? How does the design look? What kind of people are they? How do they project themselves? All these things. So we took about a half hour, banged that out, came back together, and we started writing them all down on paper. Next question she asked me, and she goes, do the same thing for Nimbus Nutrition. There was not much written there, other than the fact that we made really good products. And we did it at an affordable price, and they were safe and effective and cost efficient. And that's the only thing I really liked about it. And so it was that point that I realized that it was time for a change that I had been sitting on for at least 6 months, maybe more. And, I was, and I came to this realization about what this change was going to be, about 6, 7, 8 months ago. It's because I was home one night, I was by myself, and I was kind of just sitting and just trying to relax and breathe and all that stuff. And I had been aware of how my job was hurting me, emotionally, mentally, physically, my body was drained. And I started reflecting on my past. I started looking back at the things that I partaked in, the extracurriculars I did, the jobs I had, the clubs I had, the people I met. And identify the things that gave me the most joy and fulfillment and reward, and started kind of just writing them down and reflecting on it. And I'm looking at this list, it was from, being in the culture club in high school where we did like beautification projects, being an orientation leader in college at a small school. I absolutely loved it, making people feel welcome and that this is their place, they can make their own. Being a mentor for first generation students, being a tutor, being a lab assistant, helping people understand what they can do and making them realize their potential and empower them to keep doing it. And all that same stuff was exactly the only thing that I really loved about teaching. So I had this all written down and I'm looking at it, and then the word Striven just popped into my head. Wrote it down. And I'm sitting there, I wrote it down, I'm looking at it. Next thing I know, I wrote up the full slogan for the brand. Just like that. And it felt so right. Like I was just writing it out and not even thinking, and I'm like, being driven to consistently strive for success in all aspects of life every day to build a better you. And I wrote those words and I read it out loud, and damn God, it felt so right. It felt like everything that I loved in my life, the things I loved to do, was embodied by that. And so, Striven Life, it is my passion. It is my purpose. It gives me meaning. I'm not going anywhere. If this takes me a year, 2 years to really build to be something, I'm doing it because this is what I love doing. I don't care if I have to get 2 other jobs on the side to be able to do this. This is what's going to happen, right? And again, it's all about that being in a position to help others. I mean, this has only been 3 months of me running this brand, and I've already have clients that I've been coaching. I have my first paid client. I bought last week. Fucking excited. And working with these people, not only am I learning a ton about myself through the process, but it's just being able to be and play a role in other people's lives to make them feel as if they are enough, because so many of us feel like we're not enough in life. And like empowering them and showing them the way that they can sit there and say, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to get it, and ain't shit going to stop me. Like once I've seen that switch turn where they start getting really fucking confident, like, no, I got this. And they're pushing their goals higher. This is what I love. This is what gives me passion, my purpose, and gives me meaning. And it is also really important to acknowledge that failure is going to be a part of the process. All right, guys, like this is a journey. This isn't something that just comes easily. You have to be willing to take a punch in the face, step back and say, okay, why did that person hit me? How is it affecting me? What am I going to do about this in the future? When I got denied from PhD programs, which all my professors told me I was going to be good, I was going to get in. I forget what the phrase is, a shoe fit, or I don't know. But sorry. But I had the mindset that I was going to get in there, and then I didn't. And obviously I had a solid week or two of being really disappointed. But then I took the time and I reflected. I knew why I didn't get picked. And that's okay. I wasn't that yet. If I wanted to be that, I knew how to go and be what they wanted me to be in order to get that position the following year. But then I started to reflect on, do I really want this? Do I want to work in a lab 80 hours a week for the next 5 to 6 years of my life before I get my first job? I liked working with people. So I took that failure and I pivoted and I said, I'm going to try teaching. Worst case scenario, I do it for a year. I don't like it. I'll go to something else. I did it for 4. Learned a ton about myself, learned a ton about how to talk to people and working with other people. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. But the thing is, failure is what led me to that. And that's great. Taking failure as a data point and saying, okay, what can I learn from this? And then where do I want to go from here, right? So it's okay if there's mistakes, missteps, or failures along the way, guys. That's part of the process. That's part of the journey. You got to be able to take that hit and keep on moving forward, because your goals, your dreams, they're forward. If you let that hit stop you, then you're never going to get to them. And the thing is that you have the ability not only to do these things, but to find your passion, your meaning, your purpose as well. All right? If you took 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so to sit down and reflect, what do you like? What brings you value in life? What brings you joy, fulfillment? These things that are so positive and so necessary that we all deserve to have in our lives, and we're capable of having them. So sit down and write out and reflect, what are the things that did that for you in your life? What do you love doing the most? Is it a hobby? Is it a sport you play? Do you want to coach? Anything. Take that time, step back, reflect on these things, and start thinking about, how can I have more of these things in my life now? And what process am I going to have to take in order to get there? And it's, sorry. In all these lives that I do, these videos that I make, the blogs I write, the posts I make, the things I say, and action I take is going to be aimed to help you on that journey, on this journey, to take back your life, to live it to the fullest, to be fully engaged in life, and to focus on the things that really matter, to love more, hate less, live more, and fear less. And as I continue on this journey of self-improvement and reaching my goals that I've been on for well over a year now, I have dedicated myself to learning more, experiencing more, being more, and will continue to make this the message and truth that I share with all of you. And I really hope you guys take the time to sit down and kind of plan out what is you want more in life. You have the ability to find it. You have the ability to make it happen and to get there. And if you ever need help, I'd be more than happy to step in and have a phone call with you, conference call, messaging, whatever. That is what I love to do. So hit me a message anytime. I'm available. All right. So that is how, that is the honest, straightforward process that it took me to find my purpose, my message, my meaning. And you can do the exact same thing. But that is it for me today, guys. If you'd like, next week on the Striven You Show, it will be on Monday at 7 p.m. again. We're going to be covering the topic about having confidence and being unapologetically you. And those two things go directly together. All right. Again, if you'd like to join along on this commitment to lifelong learning, you can hit up strivenlife.com/Striven Library. Sorry. And on there, you can sign up for the 52 Books a Year Challenge. You'll have a list emailed directly to you where you'll have the list of all 52 books there listed out for you. It tells you the suggested readings per day in order to stay on track for your goals. And if you'd like to join our group, you can join our group as well, where we break down books every Thursday on the Growing Through the Text live show. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Nick Rizzo, strivenlife.com, and I'll see y'all later.